Finally, we're going to talk about the Skyffborne. And the Skyffborne group had also discovered ruins. In their case, they were uh, entering into the remains of Landovia and literally found themselves in water over their heads. Only for a short period, though. It seemed that the entrance into the underground caverns there was blocked by a doorway that was flooded, and so they passed through it and narrowly survived. One of the players very nearly drowned there, and once they had attained this inner chamber, they discovered a virtual underground world that they did not expect to find. They seemed to be not so near the surface as they had originally intended, but instead were rather deep in what may have actually been part of the Everdark, of which they're not certain at this point. But they did find there the remains of two figures buried in the mossy debris near the water. What appeared to be a Grundam, who was in a rather bad state, having had both of his legs broken before he was demised, and the remains of an Eldrin. And the Eldrin form suggested that he was of not only noble birth but of a military heritage. So it lent the concept that perhaps Landovia had had more allies than originally anticipated, as both of these species were not originally spoken of in the Landovian record. Now, in this facility, they found further evidence that this may have been some form of religious enclave, as several different representations of what might have been veil worship seemed to be constructed right there near the access way. So as they rounded a corner, they found themselves facing a very odd sight in given where they thought they were. It appeared that they could see a basalt ziggurat in the distance, not represented in any of the local maps or even any historical record of such being within the boundaries of Landovia. Furthermore, they had an encounter with a, shall we say, a food processor. A large worm-like beast came up and out of the ground and began making its way towards them, suggesting that they would be made into a localized food source. And of course, the majority of the players determined that they would run away, but one of them did seem to have somewhat of a Jenkins attack and charged the monstrosity. Fortunately for him, the NycosRPG combat system quickly determined that he had survived the engagement, and he was then able to be extracted by his friends, who heroically drove this beast, this processor, away, and then they were able to affect the processes of healing and such, and they had to deal with somewhat of the aftermath of what might have been a complete TPK, but instead was only a near TPK. And there was some interesting dynamics involved, because the players who had never been in such a situation did feel the visceral fear of the end of their personas. So after that, they did take the time to rest, regroup, and recover, and prepare for next week to delve further into this mysterious new world they found themselves in. Now, I did mention that the Sunday group did not host, as Jean was unable to be there. The rest of the group felt that they would be remiss in running the story forward without her. So, again, I want to mention, if you want to know more information about her, contact us through the Discord channel, which is listed down below, or leave us a message in either the chat or at our YouTube page at NycosRPG. All right. Next, we're going to talk about the veils, and we have a single one left.